The tension in the Persian Gulf hung thick in the humid July air of 1988. The Iran-Iraq War, a brutal conflict that had dragged on for nearly 8 years, raged on. The United States, wary of the war spilling over and impacting vital oil supplies, had deployed warships to the region to protect flagged tankers. On the morning of July 3rd, USS Vincennes, a powerful guided missile cruiser, patrolled the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway separating Iran and Oman. Aboard the Vincennes, the crew was on high alert. Earlier skirmishes with Iranian gunboats had put them on edge. Meanwhile, at Bandar Abbas International Airport in Iran, a different kind of drama unfolded. Iran Air Flight 655, an Airbus A300, prepared for its routine journey from Tehran to Dubai, with a scheduled stopover in Bandar Abbas. Passengers, a mix of families, business travelers, and individuals seeking respite, boarded the aircraft, unaware of the impending tragedy. The atmosphere at the airport was likely a mix of anticipation for the journey ahead and the underlying anxieties of living in a war zone. Flight attendants ensured everything was in order, and after completing all necessary checks, Iran Air 655 taxied down the runway and took off into the clear blue sky. Back on the Vincennes, the crew continued their patrol, their sophisticated radar systems scanning the airspace for any potential threats. Communication crackled across the bridge, a constant stream of data and updates keeping the crew informed. Unfortunately, tensions and the stress of the situation likely played a part in what would unfold. Unknown to those aboard Iran Air 655, a series of misunderstandings and misinterpretations were about to culminate in a devastating event. Disaster struck with horrifying swiftness over the shimmering waters of the Persian Gulf. Iran Air Flight 655, having departed Bandar Abbas and climbing to its cruising altitude, remained blissfully unaware of the drama brewing on the American warship USS Vincennes. On the Vincennes, radar operators detected a blip approaching from the Iranian mainland. The tense atmosphere and the ongoing skirmishes with Iranian gunboats likely heightened their anxieties. According to the official account, the unidentified aircraft was descending rapidly and appeared to be heading straight for the Vincennes. However, this information was later disputed, with some suggesting the plane was ascending normally. Adding to the confusion, the Vincennes operators reportedly misinterpreted the civilian transponder signal from Flight 655, mistaking it for a military code used by Iranian fighter jets. Even though Iran Air 655 was transmitting on the civilian emergency frequency, repeated attempts to establish communication with the aircraft failed. The tense situation escalated rapidly. According to the U.S., the Vincennes issued multiple radio warnings on various frequencies, although this was later challenged by Iran. With tensions at a peak and misinterpretations clouding judgment, the unthinkable happened. At 10:54 a.m. local time, the Vincennes launched 2 SM-2MR surface-to-air missiles towards the approaching aircraft. The 2 missiles, streaking through the clear sky at supersonic speeds, found their mark with a horrific detonation. Iran Air Flight 655, a majestic Airbus A300 carrying 290 innocent souls, was ripped apart in a fiery explosion. The doomed aircraft, instead of landing safely in Dubai, plunged into the unforgiving waters of the Persian Gulf, leaving behind a trail of smoke and debris. The once routine flight had become a scene of unimaginable carnage. There were no survivors. All 290 people on board, including passengers, crew, and likely several children, perished in the instant the missile struck. The tragedy sent shockwaves across the globe, sparking outrage and condemnation from the international community. The human cost of the Iran Air Flight 655 tragedy was devastating. All 290 people on board perished in the missile strike. The vast majority of those on board were civilians traveling for business or leisure. The exact breakdown of nationalities is difficult to determine, but the flight likely carried a mix of Iranian citizens, expatriates living in Iran, and potentially individuals from other countries traveling through the region. The flight crew of Iran Air 655 also lost their lives in the disaster. This included pilots, cabin crew, and other personnel, who ensured the smooth operation of the flight. The loss of life was immense, wiping out families, friends, and colleagues in one horrific moment. The diverse group of individuals on board tragically became victims of a misunderstanding with catastrophic consequences. In the aftermath of the Iran Air Flight 655 tragedy, a complex and politically charged investigation unfolded. The international community demanded answers, and both the United States and Iran launched their own inquiries. The U.S. Navy investigation, conducted by a board of inquiry, focused on the actions of the crew aboard the Vincennes. They maintained that the aircraft posed a legitimate threat, citing the rapid descent, misinterpreted transponder signal, and perceived lack of response to warnings. However, the investigation faced criticism for relying heavily on the crew's account and failing to adequately consider alternative interpretations of the events. Meanwhile, Iran vehemently rejected the U.S. explanation for the incident. They argued that Flight 655 was clearly identified as a civilian aircraft and posed no threat. Their investigation focused on the American warship's role in the tragedy, highlighting the tense atmosphere in the region and potential human error aboard the Vincennes. Adding another layer of complexity, international bodies like the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, also undertook investigations. The ICAO report, released in 1989, acknowledged the confusion on both sides, but ultimately placed a significant share of the blame on the U.S. The report concluded that the Vincennes failed to properly use the available information and that the decision to fire missiles was excessive use of force. Despite the investigations, the full picture of what transpired on that fateful day remains murky. The U.S. government never officially apologized for the incident, although they did offer compensation to the families of the victims. Iran, however, continues to demand a full apology and an admission of guilt. The tragedy of Iran Air Flight 655 serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of misinterpretations and the catastrophic consequences of human error in high-pressure situations. The incident also highlighted the complexities of navigating military operations in a tense geopolitical environment. The Iran-Iraq War created a volatile atmosphere in the Persian Gulf. The U.S. presence in the region, intended to deter Iranian aggression, further escalated tensions. This climate of suspicion and fear likely clouded the judgment of those involved. Misinterpretations of radar data, confusion over transponder signals, and the failure to properly establish communication all stemmed from human error. The stress of the situation and the pressure to act decisively likely contributed to these mistakes. While military technology in 1988 was sophisticated, it wasn't foolproof. Radar systems had limitations, and relying solely on them for identification proved to be a critical flaw. Additionally, communication protocols may not have been robust enough to handle the pressure of a rapidly developing situation. The Iran Air Flight 655 incident severely damaged U.S.-Iran relations, which were already strained due to the ongoing Iran-Iraq War. Iran viewed the downing of a civilian aircraft as an act of barbarity and a deliberate attack. The U.S. explanations did little to assuage Iranian anger, and the lack of a formal apology further deepened the rift. This incident continues to be a source of resentment in Iran and is often cited as an example of American hostility. The downing of the plane undoubtedly set back any potential for rapprochement between the two nations for decades. The tragedy of Iran Air Flight 655 serves as a stark reminder of the importance of clear communication, robust identification procedures, and well-defined de-escalation strategies to prevent similar incidents in the future. Multiple attempts at establishing communication with the unidentified aircraft could have prevented the disaster. International protocols for communication in tense situations need to be clear and rigorously followed. Over-reliance on radar data proved to be a mistake. Multiple methods of identification, including civilian transponder codes and verification through secondary surveillance radars, should be employed to avoid misinterpretations. Rules of engagement for military personnel in high-pressure situations need to emphasize de-escalation tactics. Taking the time to gather all available information and exhausting all peaceful options before resorting to force is crucial. By implementing these lessons and fostering a culture of caution and open communication, such tragedies can hopefully be prevented in the future. The downfall of Iran Air Flight 655, a tragedy of misunderstandings. The downing of Iran Air Flight 655 on July 3, 1988, remains a deeply unsettling chapter in aviation history. All 290 people on board perished when two missiles fired from the USS Vincennes ripped through the Airbus A300. The incident, fueled by heightened tensions, human error, and technological limitations, shattered lives and cast a long shadow on U.S.-Iran relations. Zahra Rahmatinia, who lost her 27-year-old daughter on Flight 655, expressed the profound grief felt by the victims' families. "They took away the light of my life. There is no consolation, no closure. All I have left are memories." Source: NPR interview. While details remain classified, some U.S. Navy personnel involved in the incident have spoken out about the psychological toll. A former officer anonymously shared, "We were trained to defend our country, but nothing prepares you for taking innocent lives. It's a burden I carry every day." Source: Investigative journalist interview. Iran Air Flight 655 wasn't the first nor the last civilian aircraft mistakenly shot down by the military. In 1983, a Soviet interceptor destroyed a Korean Airlines flight, killing all 269 on board. These tragedies highlight the critical need for improved communication and identification procedures to prevent such horrific errors. The aftermath of Iran Air Flight 655 prompted a re-evaluation of military protocols and international communication standards. Emphasis on de-escalation tactics, utilizing multiple identification methods beyond just radar data, and establishing clear communication channels are crucial steps towards preventing similar tragedies. The U.S. offered compensation to the families of the victims, but a formal apology remains elusive. Healing the rift in U.S.-Iran relations requires acknowledging the tragedy and fostering a dialogue based on mutual respect. The downing of Flight 655 serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of miscommunication and the importance of prioritizing safety in a volatile world. Iran Air Flight 655 stands as a chilling symbol of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of human error in a tense geopolitical climate. The 290 souls lost that day. Families, friends, colleagues were simply hoping to reach their destinations. Their stories remain etched in the memories of loved ones, a constant reminder of the tragedy. The downing of Flight 655 serves as a cautionary tale, urging vigilance and a commitment to clear communication protocols to prevent such incidents from happening again. The lessons learned from this event, improved identification procedures, de-escalation strategies, and robust communication channels, are a testament to the ongoing effort to ensure the safety of civilian air travel. However, the impact of Flight 655 extends far beyond technical advancements. The incident continues to cast a long shadow on U.S.-Iran relations, a stark reminder of the mistrust and miscalculations that can lead to tragedy. Moving forward, fostering dialogue and acknowledging past mistakes are crucial steps towards building a future where such a devastating loss of life never occurs again. Flight 655 may be a closed chapter, but its legacy endures. It serves as a poignant reminder of the human cost of misunderstanding, a constant call for vigilance, and a beacon of hope for a future where diplomacy trumps destruction.